They said ink ruled our kingdom more than steel. Not swords, not shields, not even crowns, just words. Words that filled scrolls stacked to the ceiling, sealed with wax, stored in chambers colder than stone. Every law, every tax, every punishment, all born from the tip of a quill. I knew this hall better than my own home, the Hall of Decrees. Its walls groaned under the weight of scrolls, its shelves sagged like tired backs. Light slanted in through tall windows, dust swirling in the air like ghosts of the words spoken centuries ago. And at the long oak tables sat the scribes, men and women whose hands shook but never faltered, scratching history into parchment. And at the farthest corner, bent over ink pots that always seemed to spill, sat me, Kaelen, apprentice scribe, keeper of other men's words. Kaelen, a name barely known beyond these walls. I wasn't a knight like my brother. I wasn't strong, I wasn't bold. My world was quills, not blades. I lived quietly, copying decrees, practicing letters until my hand cramped, cleaning ink stains from my sleeves until my fingers turned black. People walked past me in the streets without noticing. To them, I was just another shadow in the crowd. But in the hall, I mattered, because even shadows leave marks when the candle burns low. And ink, even mine, could outlast kings. I told myself that was enough, to serve, to write, to stay quiet. But where I was invisible, my brother was not. Ronan. His name was carved into the songs of taverns, shouted from the mouths of children playing night in the mud. He was strength, courage, laughter, and swagger, all wrapped into one broad frame. He strode through streets in polished armor, sunlight catching the steel, his cloak snapping like fire behind him. People loved him, the kind of love that made men lower their heads and women pause their steps just to see him pass. To them, Ronan was the kingdom's sword. To me, he was my brother, the boy who used to steal bread with me when we were hungry, who taught me to climb walls higher than sense allowed, who promised me once, "No matter what, I'll always protect you." I believed him, I always had. It began on an ordinary evening. Candles flickered low in the hall, their wax spilling like tears onto the tables. The master scribes had gone home, their backs aching, leaving me to copy the last of the day's decrees. But when I unrolled one parchment, my hand froze. The decree called for increased taxes on the lower wards, steeper than any I had ever seen. Impossible, cruel, my stomach twisted. I had copied 1,000 decrees, and I knew the hand that wrote them like I knew my own. But this was not the chancellor's script. The lines were sharper, heavier. And then it hit me. The curl of the R, the force of the downstrokes, the way the ink dragged like a sword carving through wood. It was Ronan's hand. My brother's. The knight of the people, the hero sung in songs. And yet here it was, in black ink, betraying the very people who loved him. I stared until the letters blurred. My chest tightened. This couldn't be. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps it was a trick of tired eyes. But the more I looked, the clearer it became. I had copied Ronan's signature countless times, forging practice letters as a child, trying to mimic his bold hand. I knew it as well as my own breath. And now, that same hand had condemned our people to hunger. I felt the parchment tremble in my grip. My first thought wasn't of justice. It was of him, my brother, my protector, my blood. I wanted to burn it, to pretend I had never seen it, to believe the songs instead of the ink. But ink doesn't lie, not when it's dry. That night I couldn't sleep. I walked the narrow streets, the lamps guttering against the wind. Merchants packed up their stalls, mothers pulled children inside, and guards marched past with cold stares. I saw the kingdom breathing, fragile and tired, unaware of what hung above their heads like a storm. In my hand I still clutched the decree. Its weight felt heavier than steel. Loyalty to my brother, loyalty to truth, which mattered more. I thought of his laughter, I thought of his promise, I thought of how the people loved him. What would they do if they knew? What would it do to him if I told? And yet, what would it do to them if I stayed silent? I stopped in the middle of the street, my chest aching. Integrity or family, justice or blood. For the first time in my life, silence felt like betrayal. I found him the next morning in the barracks, sharpening his sword. The light from the window glinted off the blade, casting sharp lines across his face. He looked up, smiled, that easy, warm smile that could melt ice. "Brother," he said, "come to watch me train, or are you finally ready to hold a sword instead of a quill?" I didn't smile back. I set the decree on the table between us. His smile faltered. His eyes flicked to the parchment, then to me. "You wrote this," I whispered, my voice cracked. "Why?" Silence hung heavy. Then he chuckled low, bitter, not the laugh I knew. He leaned back, folding his arms. "Because words win wars more than steel. You of all people should know that." My stomach turned. "You raise taxes that will starve them." He stood, towering over me, his eyes burning. "Better they starve a little now than burn in rebellion later. Order comes with cost, and if they hate me for it, so be it. A king needs soldiers, not beggars." "They trusted you," I said, my throat tight. He stepped closer, his voice low. "And you trust me too, Kaelen, don't forget that." His hand gripped my shoulder, heavy as stone. "Words can crown kings or kill them. Choose which you want to be, brother."